in the beginning of time. And there was nothing, just vast, spacious silence. Just eternal silence in every direction. And I think at some point God got a little bored and said, I want to hear some music. I want to have a great drama. And so she breathed into life. This world and all kinds of worlds, all kinds of realms. And see, we are a manifestation of her music, of her drama, of her great play. And there's times when I'm just sitting in silence and I say, I want to put some music on. And allow this silence to be filled with something great. Sometimes I put something on that's tragic. I used to listen to this this singer. I'm a little dyslexic, but I think her name is Shawn Marshall. From Cat Power, and she sings just these heart-wrenching songs, just like brutally heart-wrenching. And there's part of me that loves it. There was a time in my life when I had a lot of pain and I deeply identified with her pain. But now, sometimes I just put her on and just hear, her sorrow, her heartache, her struggle. And then in her voice, I hear this resiliency and this glory. This music, it's such a gift. All of us, we are such a gift. And this whole world is such a beautiful gift. Such a beautiful gift. Yesterday at the end of the day, I flipped on my phone to, call my daughter. And, my mom was, busy texting me and, saying like, oh my God, there's a shooting in San Diego. I think it was like just down the street somewhere at a synagogue. And, it can be brutal here, life on earth. It can be absolutely brutal. Tragic and heart-wrenching. And so we have a great question. A great question about, how am I going to live in this world? Am I going to be a manifestation of higher consciousness, of a greater love? Or am I going to be a repetition of, my parents' thoughts, my political party, the collective consciousness of the culture? And one of the beautiful things about coming on retreat is we're giving ourselves the time just to break up, to break out of life, to stop and just notice, how am I holding my body? Am I holding my body in a habitual way? How am I relating to my thoughts? Am I relating in a habitual way? Just repeating the past. Here in the United States, I hate to say it, but shootings have become a habit. A lot of us don't even blink. We're just like, oh, just another one. But they become a habit. But what we're needing now in 2019 is we need the habit of kindness. The habit of love. And this starts with you loving yourself fully, honoring yourself fully. And retreat is a great act of love. To oneself. It's saying, I'm going to just put everything down. and be here. Give myself to that which is good, that which is divine within myself. I'm going to get to know my goddess nature, my strength. I'm going to support this spiritual warrior in me, coming forward. And so when we leave here, like I was speaking about yesterday, you're going to notice this habit start to come on. And it'll feel like really old, but like comfortable clothes. You just start to feel it come back into your blood, into your thought stream, your psychological nature. And so if you want to be awake, if you want to live in a way where you're connected to grace, you're connected to your heart, you're connected to this vast, spacious silence, it's a choice. It's a choice. What retreat does is it just floods us. Like we come here, like yesterday, everyone was just ready to explode. There was so much grace here. And on retreat, it can be quite easy. But your job is to integrate this, to step into it, to own it, to say, this is my truth. It's God's truth, it's my truth. I and God am one. And so I'm choosing to live for my highest. When I'm driving down the freeway, when I'm speaking with my children, my friends, my parents. And so I'm going to invite you, after this retreat, don't just rush off to this or that. Take the rest of the day and stay with what's here. Oftentimes it's nice to have a little notebook, a journal, and to write, 3 or 4 great insights that you had during the retreat. Like Ivy was speaking of yesterday or the day before. And she was saying, when I spoke about my experience, I became more comfortable with it. Like comfortable with its outward expression. And so it's really similar to when we write things down. When we write, we're putting it down on paper. We're saying, I realized this truth within myself. I saw that I love myself. And you write that down. You write it down and you smile. And you smile. Or you say, I realize I've been holding my body in this really certain way all these years. And writing it down is it's a way of like making mindfulness more concrete. It's bringing it into reality. It's saying, okay, I see this. Sometimes when we go on retreat, we can get into this habit of just going on retreat, receiving this incredible grace, but then being very ungrounded and unintegrated. And so then we walk away and all of it just kind of quickly, disappears, like one of those sand castles on the beach that a little girl made yesterday. It's not there today. It's not there today. The ocean took it back. And the collective consciousness, will take everything back because we have this force on planet Earth, the force of habit. It's also called the force of homeostasis, where everything just tries to go back to how it was. But in a place like this, we're taking steps forward. And God is inviting you to own this. To own this. The difference between a great teacher and us is they had the realization and then they owned it. They stepped into it. They said, I'm going to live this truth. Most of us think that freedom is an experience. Freedom is a choice. It's a choice. There's something that wakes up within us and says, yes, I'm choosing the truth. I'm choosing to be awake, to be alive, to be conscious. I'm choosing. And I'm choosing to listen and notice, okay, my body feels really worn down or exhausted. I'm going to choose to change my life and walk in the direction of something greater. I'm going to choose. To choose. And so why don't we do this? Why don't we all close our eyes? So get comfortable. I invite you just to feel into your body. And just notice what's here now. Sometimes on the last day of the retreat, the body can feel a little bit fried or disoriented. Sometimes it can feel just wonderful and blissful. And I invite you in this moment just to breathe, to feel. To notice what's here. To notice. And I invite you just to relax the body, relax the jaw, the shoulders, the neck. Of course, giving ourselves permission not to think about anything. Feeling in your heart, your belly, your pelvis, your legs, your feet. And as you hear the sound of the bell, I invite you just to allow the bell to draw you inward. So we're just giving ourselves permission to breathe deeply. To melt into this moment. And allow awareness to dive deeply into the space of the heart. This feeling, this gentle radiance in the space of the heart. Feeling this quiet presence of joy. This goodness that you are. Sometimes in life we've had a lot of pain. We get into the habit of misery. And I invite you this morning to wake up, to your divinity. Wake up to your joy. This quiet presence of radiance. For those of you who are sensitive, you may notice this very gentle stream of bliss in the heart. I encourage you to take a deep breath into this. Say, yes, my nature is bliss. My nature is Satchidananda. Satchidananda. This vast, spacious peace. Gentle, yet radiant bliss. Just breathing in. Feeling the goodness of the heart. The goodness of the heart. Acknowledging this quiet presence of wisdom. Noticing this presence of mastery in the heart. Gently smiling. Saying, oh yes, I am not a silly, confused human. There's something great here. We often forget this. There's something great here. And in this moment, I'm inviting you to fall in love with your greatness. Just to allow your human self to fall in love, to bow before your greatness, your divinity. Allowing the solar plexus to relax. The hara, lower belly to open and relax. And I invite you to breathe into these two centers. Feeling a quiet presence of profound strength. For some of us, we have a sleeping giant within us, sleeping goddess, master. Inviting this presence in the belly to wake up. To become embodied. To give birth. This presence of grace. This presence of strength. You will need this in the world. If you're going to live a heart-centered life, a radiant, joyful, blissful life, you need to be connected to this strength, this inner goddess, this inner master. So we're invoking this power, waking up this sleeping giant within us. So for some of you, you may feel some burning heat in the belly, this presence of power, sometimes even a feeling of nausea comes forward. It's burning up any unworthiness within us, any sheepishness within us. The Divine Mother, she's proud of each and every one of you who've joined us here today. But she needs you to be in contact with your strength. She's inviting you to be big, to be bold. To not bow before samsara. To not bow before karmic chains. But rather to break those chains. This means we are not bowing before the force of habit. We are stepping into the force of profound strength. She's wanting you to learn to live with a strong back and open heart. To see, to acknowledge the power of innocence. So often in life we're taught that innocence is sheepish, vulnerable. But in this moment, she's wanting you to understand, to realize, to embody an innocence which is indestructible. She's wanting you to see right here, right now, that you are just as beautiful as the day you were born. This brilliant, angelic presence. And even though most of us feel as if we've been beat up by life, I invite you this moment to see, to acknowledge that this inner innocence has not actually been squashed, has not actually been broken. There is something timeless and eternal here. Something so tender, so innocent, so pure, and yet absolutely unharmed by any act of personal violence, by any act of outward violence. There's something within us right here, right now, which has outlived every pain, every heartache, every sadness, every addiction, every so-called mistake, shortcoming. There's something here that is pure, that is bright, that is powerful. I'm inviting you to acknowledge this, to own this, to step into this presence. So if there's any old karmic tendency, any old habit, any old place you need to forgive yourself, or forgive another, please do so now. This grace, this light that you are, does not need to be veiled. It doesn't benefit you to veil your grace, your light, your truth. Certainly doesn't benefit the world for you to hold back, to be small, to be less than. Can you give yourself permission to live from this place of strength, this place of light, love? To boldly awaken and say yes. Yes. So for some of you who are sensitive, you may feel this column of light pouring down from heaven. Pouring down through the crown, through the space of the third eye, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, the belly, down through the pelvis and pouring into the floor, into the earth. This column of light waking up in us, as us. Stand in this column, receive its grace, be nourished. And know the Divine Mother not only has your back, She is your back. She is your spine. She's inviting you to wake up. Realize you and her are one. Are one. So I invite you to take a deep breath and just feel this grace, receive this grace, pouring down through the crown, through the heart, through the pelvis, through the legs, the feet, pouring into the earth. And then I invite you to immediately allow this awakening to happen in the earth, in the feet, and feel this ascent of grace. The mother in the earth waking up. Matter itself waking up. Feeling this rise of grace coming up the legs. Coming into the pelvis, to the belly. So the ascent and descent of grace. Merging together in this body. Feeling yourself. Not as a little sheep, but rather as a powerhouse. A goddess, a master, a lighthouse. I'm inviting you directly, you specifically, to be a lighthouse. To allow this body of yours, the psychology, the inner child, the wound, the shadow, to be flooded with light, flooded with grace. At every place within you that feels less than, be flooded with grace. Every place within you that's holding on, judging yourself. Let yourself be forgiven. Be reborn in this light of grace. And simultaneously, allowing this light to shine outward from the heart. Blessing your friends, your family, this community, this world. Blessing the victims of this world and the offenders. Blessing the saints and the so-called sinners. Blessing the collective consciousness and the collective unconsciousness. Just breathing, feeling this light. Pouring in every direction. You have come here today You have come here, this life, to be a lighthouse. You have seen too much, received too much, to allow yourself to be a sheep, to spin your wheels in the mud of samsara. You are too bright, too glorious to give yourself permission to mess around in things which no longer serve you. So I invite you to take a deep breath, fully forgiving yourself for all the nonsense we've been involved in here on planet Earth. To gently commit, to powerfully commit, to giving yourself over to this presence of strength, of light, of love, of mastery. So I invite you to breathe in and breathe out. Just feeling this descent of grace flowing through you, burning up old karmic chains, old habits and confusion. Deep, full breaths, receiving this grace from above, and yes, simultaneously receiving this ascent of grace from below. Aurobindo Jyoti. Vast grace light. Tani Byron Kahn. Eternal love, compassion. Inviting every aspect of yourself to come forward, to be touched, to be seen, to be acknowledged. Especially those places which have remained hidden, shut off, ignored. Inviting all of it forward. Our highest self and lowest self. All of it. All of you deserves the Most High. So breathing in, breathing out. Gently smiling. Acknowledging the strength of the belly, strength of the heart. profound mountain of emptiness. Volcano of strength. Feeling this innocence, which has been unharmed. Unharmed by life. This quiet, vast, spacious freedom. Eternally present. So I invite you just to gently open your eyes. Acknowledging this divinity that you are. Acknowledging the divinity that this world is. So when you leave here today, you will have the choice to forget all this, to go back into habit, and to see life through the lens of ego. And through the lens of ego, the lens of ego tells us there is something wrong. I need to be worried. I need to be scared. I need to be frightened. I need to fight. I need to argue. I need to divide myself off from reality. So that's the voice of ego. And again, that's a wonderful thing if this is a time of war. But there's this other way to live, where we live from the heart. And we drive through life, we walk through life, and we see this world is not crooked. We see it's divine. There's this silent, radiant beauty here. This silent, radiant beauty. There's this vast spaciousness. This eternal peace. There's this gentle, radiant joy. And so I like to play with these questions. After a retreat, during the retreat, I may notice, wow, the world is so utterly beautiful. I can remember a time when I was meditation was just a big part of my practice. And I was meditating in a way that I could create these incredible inner states of consciousness. And all I wanted to do was meditate. But as soon as I opened my eyes, it was almost like I hated the world. I just thought, this is samsara, this is illusion. And I can remember I had this beautiful experience one day. I was on a long retreat and we were doing lots of periods of meditation. And I was normally the first one in the meditation hall and the last one to leave. And one day, I was starting to walk toward the meditation hall, and I just heard this voice call me from the forest. And so I turned away from the hall and started to walk into the forest. And right away, I just noticed the whole forest come alive. The colors were so vibrant, so bright. I saw this radiance just looking back at me. It was as if the whole world had woken up. And I realized, I don't want to be a monk in a cave. I want to be awake here in the world. In the world. I want to see this divinity everywhere. And so I started to play with this. I noticed that when the lens of ego came forward, I stopped seeing radiance. I stopped feeling the hugeness of the sky. I became quite small. And so when I noticed that quite small perspective, I would just ask myself this question: is this radiance here? Is the spaciousness here? Is this freedom and bliss and overwhelming intimacy here? And the question, I wasn't asking my ego for a quick yes or no. I was allowing that question to open me into that experience, to reawaken my heart. To reawaken my heart. And so this is how we sit with these questions. And so you'll find, a couple hours from now we'll be done. And if you're sitting in traffic, if you receive a bunch of angry texts from work, why weren't you here? You missed this and you didn't respond to my email, or whatever it is. And you'll notice this tendency of ego just to become small, to be limited, to become divisive. And a great question is this spaciousness here? Can I be intimate with this? Can I feel the radiance and the beauty all around me? And then respond from a place of love to the angry coworker or whoever it was, a wife or husband or partner who said, you left a big pile of dirty dishes. Say, oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Because life in its habit, in the collective unconsciousness, it will want to pull you back into that state of egoic conditioning. But the good news is you don't have to. Now, this was the good news of Christ. You say, the kingdom of heaven is here, all about the earth. He went on to say, yet no man seeth, like no one sees it. And see, you are invited to see it, to acknowledge it, to be the lighthouse here on planet Earth. And sometimes that means we need to be the lighthouse for ourselves first. For ourselves first. And I can't overemphasize that enough. You must love yourself fully first. First. And as you do so, what you'll find is there'll be this overwhelming love that pours through you. To your friends, to your family. And it doesn't have to come in some super, goody two-shoes spiritual way. It can just come in a very gentle smile. A smile. When someone speaks, you listen more deeply. You hold their hand in life. You say, I see you. I understand your pain. I see you. I understand your pain. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Bryce, my friend, I want to invite you to sit right here, and I'd like you to tell everyone what you told me this morning. What you noticed about that habit in you and how it had begun to change and unravel.
I noticed last night and this morning, after our meditation session, and then the one I did this morning, is that I was holding my body in a very tense way. And
How long had you been doing that, Bryce?
years. I think more than 5 years.
Yeah. And let me just stop you for a moment. When you say that, I've been doing that for more than 5 years, what emotion do you feel in your body?
I feel like anger, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what's deeper than that anger?
Grief.
Yeah, grief. That's what I felt. As soon as you said that, I just felt this grief. This grief, and it's good just to acknowledge that. To acknowledge it, and it's okay, Bryce, to acknowledge that. And so you noticed you were holding your body, and then what?
I'm often so frazzled up in my mind. I'm just trying just to control everything, and I think, and just upset unknowingly, unconsciously.
Yeah.
And so I'm holding myself with a lot of tension. It's like my back often hurts, my knees hurt, and it's because I was holding myself so tightly, and I just noticed I let it go.
And how did that feel?
And it felt wonderful. It felt fantastic. It's like I could actually, and just at my clarity, I could actually see, my perception, it's like I'm not so clogged up with tension. And it's liberating.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, that's the truth. It's liberating. It's liberating. Yeah. Thank you, Bryce, for sharing. And I'm going to call this is a profound spiritual awakening. It's a profound spiritual awakening. So many of us are waiting, for the moment when, all of a sudden we wake up and realize we are the Buddha, the universe, and this and that. But, the Buddha had to realize again and again and again all these aspects, the way he was holding himself tight, holding himself tense. And our body does this. Our ego gets its sense of self from stress. It's created, it's fabricated out of stress. It arises in stress, and then the body responds like this. And then our inner psychology and our inner, the inner nervous system together, they create this feeling of being like in a cage. And spiritual liberation is realizing, I'm doing this. I have the keys. They are in my hands. I can unlock these doors. And so often it's just a really simple realization. I can relax. I don't have to go like this. I don't have to do this. I can relax. I can let this body, this nervous system, melt. I can let it melt. And as it's melting, you may notice there's some anger there. And deeper than that anger is normally great sadness. And I want you to be very careful with that anger and sadness. The invitation is just to feel them. Just feel the felt sense of emotion there. And breathe. And what you'll find is as you breathe through them, as you honor them and don't make them wrong for being there. Say, oh, well, I'm spiritual, so I shouldn't be angry. Or I'm supposed to be awake, so I shouldn't have any feelings, or some stupid kind of thing like that. I invite you just to breathe, and there's feeling here. And the more you allow the anger to break, the sadness to break, and by break I mean just move through you, what you'll find is your body will no longer feel like this. Your body will radiate with innocence. Your mind will become clear. You'll start to see. That experience that I was speaking about a couple moments ago when I was in the forest. You start to see with clarity, and you see that all of life is dancing with radiance. With radiance. You want to be a physicist, and you'll start to see you'll start to see and feel cells. Like all these cells waking up on your body. You start to feel like the atoms of life just dancing and radiating with prana. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful realization. And you just start to notice, when the body is relaxed, the mind is clear. It's clear. And then your mind becomes a home of Buddha nature. It's vast, it's spacious, it's clear. And so I can't emphasize enough the importance, of doing some type of yoga, some type of somatic therapy, some type of meditation where you're feeling and including the body, some type of spirituality where you're acknowledging the nervous system. The nervous system, when it's relaxed, you feel these flows of energy, of light. You feel these meridians waking up within you. You feel these 10,000 nadis, like miniature chakras, waking up throughout the form. You see, this body is this incredible presence, instead of just like a storehouse of pain and habit and heartache. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you, Bryce, so much for sharing. Yeah. And it's good to play with the body, because the body is a creature of habit, and sometimes we have great realizations on retreat, and then the big thing is when we go home, notice as stress arises, that habitual fight or flight response will come forward again, and because you've broken out of it, you'll notice yourself going back into it, and you can just ask, do I need to tense up? Do I need to tense up? And if you're walking around and you're not feeling clear, you can just ask, is my body tense? Am I holding and controlling, or am I relaxed? Am I relaxed? And here in a minute, I'm going to give us something to play with, which will help with relaxation. How about you, Jim? How's this retreat been for you?
Enlightening, I guess.
Yeah, enlightening. That's pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, I thought the pain was my punishment for whatever I've done.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop you, Jim, just for a moment, because I just felt this voice of the mother, and she's saying, "I love you so much, so much, sweetie. I love you so much, so much." She's not here to punish you.
Yeah, I know that now.
Yeah, she's not here to punish you.
Yeah.
She wants nothing more than to love you. So open some more doors in yourself and let her love you. Let her hold you. And she will. And if you're not feeling the love, you can call upon her and say, "Hey, can you help a brother out?" Help a brother out. Yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but she interrupted me, so
No.
I said that's worthy of our time. Yeah. Yeah, you're not here to be punished, my friend, and you're not wrong. Yeah. Where does that thought come from?
I guess conditioning,
Yeah.
low self-esteem,
Yeah.
not loving myself.
Yeah. 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 You're a beautiful man, Jim. You have a wonderfully silent and gentle presence.
Thank you.
That's worthy of your love. That's worthy of your love. So this old thought of being punished or that you're not worthy or this or that, let me ask you, do you ever go out in a boat?
Had I ever been?
Do you ever go out?
Do I know?
No. So do you spend time in nature, in the woods?
Yes.
Yeah. You ever climb up top of a mountain?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I was going to tell you, like take, that feeling of unworthiness, that being punished, the inner judge, the inner critic. I'm going to invite you either to throw them in the sea. That's why I asked you if you go out on a boat. If you're up on a mountain, just like release them back to life. Say like, I don't have to do this. And be gentle with yourself. Be gentle. You deserve it. You deserve the highest love. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you want to share?
I think one of the biggest takeaways was something you said, I think it was yesterday, about Mother giving us a gift. Now help us out. And, I graduated with an English major also.
Yeah.
Always wanted to write that best-selling novel.
Yeah. Do you write?
Haven't lately, but I have. I've got like 5 novels started and just can't seem to.
Yeah.
When I was in college and I changed majors to English, it was like everything was flowing. Writing was not an effort. It was.
Yeah.
It was kind of like fun, a pleasure.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about punctuation, words, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And I did well. My professors loved what I was writing. But nowadays, it's like a real chore.
Yeah.
Every word's got to be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, so that inner critic, what does he need? Why don't you do this, Jim? You can just gently close your eyes. And everyone can join Jim in this. Most everyone is an inner critic inside. And so I invite you just to invoke this inner critic. Look him or her in the eyes. And in the most gentle way, just ask him, what do you need so you can relax a little? What do you need so you can relax a little? What comes forward, Jim?
Word love.
Love. Beautiful. Beautiful. So let's allow some love to come into the room and bless all the inner critics. A little bit of love. And then let's take a little more. And then I invite you, to put that inner critic in a little boat on the ocean of love, just surrounded by love, just flooded with love. Flooded with love. You're like, hey, buddy, relax. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And so, Jim, if you look at that inner critic now, if you look at him in the eyes again, what do you see there?
Honestly, he's way out there. I can't even see him.
Yeah. Just let him get swallowed up in the love. You just let him get swallowed up. So I'll assume that means he's taken care of. He's taken care of.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. So you just breathe that in for a moment or two. The inner critic is really innocent. He's trying to help us and protect us. But sometimes he, she gets a little carried away. Takes their job a little too seriously. And so we're just inviting some relaxation, with the critic. With the critic. What you find eventually is that the more the inner critic relaxes, she turns into, he turns into the presence of discernment. Very gentle discernment, which is good and actually necessary. It's one of the qualities, of the awakened mind. But when when the critic gets worked up, he gets tight, tense, and then he takes the job too seriously. Too seriously.